My name is Vance Morris, and I'm a small business owner just like you. I own and operate a multi-million-dollar carpet and upholstery cleaning business on the eastern shore of Maryland. Now, for those of you who are geographically challenged, that's the part of Maryland that's attached to Delaware. A few years ago, some of my peers began asking me to help them with their marketing and business systems. They wanted to know how I had grown a business from zero to a multi-million-dollar business in less than 5 years. So I would show other carpet cleaners the marketing and service systems I had put into place and how to implement them in their businesses. At that time, I accepted all kinds of payments for my service. I got boxes of steaks, movie tickets, beer, and once I even got a one-way Amtrak ticket to North Carolina. I still have it. I can't remember the last time I was on a train. Probably will never use it, but how often do you get paid with a train ticket? Now, before I get too far ahead of myself, let me tell you a little bit about my background and my journey from having a job, then owning a job, and finally owning a business. And let me tell you, there is a difference between the three. I started my career working for the Mouse down in Orlando. I worked for Walt Disney World for 10 years as a service trainer and manager in some of their premier resorts, Pleasure Island, the Contemporary, the Yacht and Beach Club, and I worked aboard the Empress Lily. It was here that I learned not only about exceptional service, but about the vital importance of having systems in place to help manage the business. I then left Disney. Yes, people do leave, and I worked for a few companies that you may have heard of. Rainforest Cafe, Legal Seafoods, the Smithsonian Museums, and the Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts in Washington, D.C. It wasn't until my second layoff that I decided to open my own business. I started the business in the summer of 2007 with the world financial implosion right around the corner. What a year to start a business. Within days of starting, I mean just days getting back from training, my wife Gina suffered a severe medical problem. A blood vessel in her brain exploded that almost killed her. She spent 11 days in the neuro ICU and many months recovering. Let me tell you, at age 32, stuff is not supposed to be blowing up inside your head. To this day, she still has some profound effects, but she is still with us. Back in 2007, my new business had become the only source of income, which at the time was near zero. I then slugged and struggled for the next 4 years, cleaning some pretty skeezy places. I cleaned my fair share of rundown homes in questionable neighborhoods. I've been robbed, I've been assaulted, and I've been called some names that, quite frankly, I'd never heard of before. I actually had to come home and ask my 15-year-old, was I being called something not so nice? He assured me that it was not nice. I endured significant financial problems, culminating in the loss of my savings, my home, ultimately having bankruptcy, not to mention the stress and strain on my marriage, and, of course, all of the missed soccer games, ballet recitals, baseball, and swim meets. This was not how I envisioned my life. I didn't own a business, I owned a job, and I certainly was not going to be wealthy at this rate. Something had to change. Enough was enough. I was either going to make the business work or I was going to dump it altogether and go work for somebody. So in 2012, I maxed out a credit card. Please don't tell my wife. And I invested in my future. Key words there. I invested in my future with marketing training, masterminds, and peer reviews. I learned all I could about marketing my business and positioning it to the clients that I wanted. I also set goals. Not those mamby-pamby New Year's resolution things, but real goals. And from that day forward, I continued to set, monitor, readjust, and achieve my goals. In 2012, here's what I did. I increased my revenue by over 30%. I got off the truck. That was the biggest number one goal I had. Get off that blessed cleaning truck. Increased my job average by 20% and rid myself of those blood and cash-sucking clients. Increased my time with family and decreased my working hours. Now, how did I do it? It's a great question, and I'm glad you asked it. What did I do to achieve over 30% increase in sales and sustain that growth for the next 3 years? I have 2 words for you. massive implementation. There's not just one strategy, but close to 100 that were implemented that year. What did I implement? Primarily an all-new education-based and direct response marketing system I call Systematic Magic. I had multiple 2, 3, and 4-step lead generation personalized letter campaigns, multi-step and multimedia client reactivation campaigns, new service packages, pricings, especially designed to kill off those tire-kicking cheapos. Implemented the show up like no one else plan with pre-job gifts encouraging reciprocity. I wrote 4 new books and 4 consumer awareness guides. New Facebook page, new blog that always has an offer. Established multiple continuity plans for client retention and consistent cash flow. And most importantly, all these things were documented as a marketing and operations system. Which brings us to today. Did I mention, by the way, that I have 4 kids, 15, 12, 8, and 7? Did I also mention that I live in a real rural area? Probably more cows and chickens and cornfields than people, let alone wealthy and affluent people. But I managed to find them. I've been able now in my new businesses to share the stage at international events with the likes of Lou Ferrigno. He was and still is the only Incredible Hulk, by the way. Dan Kennedy, Dave D, Joe Polish, and a slew of other marketing experts and entrepreneurs. I've been able to start 2 new businesses, the Deliver Service Now Institute and Mega, the Marketing and Entrepreneurial Growth Alliance. So, if a guy who is bankrupt and nearly homeless can now make it to every soccer game and ballet recital, outwit and outsmart my competition living in an area of cornfields and chicken poo, you can too. No one has any excuse not to succeed if they get off their arse and friggin' implement. So I'm Vance Morris, and you won't profit unless you implement.